Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, soon to be joined here by my co-host Rob, who's just finished getting set up right now. He just had to finish his enema he had scheduled for today, apparently. No, but yeah, he'll be here shortly here to talk about the game here as we got the end of the New York Giants season, guys. End of the season. Doesn't it feel like it just started? Like, it just feels like we just started this thing not too long ago, and the season is already officially over. Obviously, a massive disappointing season there. I think it's an understatement of the year probably to sit there and say that. So Giants lose to the Eagles today, 20-13, end up on the season 3-14. 3-14. I don't know about y'all, but I don't think anybody was expecting like a Super Bowl run or anything crazy like that. But, we said prior to the season, we were hoping for, a resurgence to a certain degree of Daniel Jones, maybe getting more of a 2022 version of Jones than the 23 version. We definitely got the 23 version again, though, instead. We were hoping, better offensive line, which we did until the injuries happened. We were expecting a team to be hovering right around that 500 mark. And it started off that way, that's for sure. Obviously, that big win against the Seahawks was probably our last big win that actually mattered. And then the injuries happened. Everything fell off the rails again. Horrible offense. All these issues nonstop. Daniel Jones gets cut. I mean, it's like everything that possibly could have gone wrong this season went wrong. But it's finally over. It's finally over, guys. And it's time for us to hopefully move into better times for the New York Giants. It's time to hopefully move into a time where we can sit there and be proud to be Giants fans again. Because I know a lot of y'all, at this point, it's gotten to the point of embarrassment. And I can't blame you. Like, this is an embarrassment to lose like we've been losing here against teams that aren't even good in some scenarios. Like, it's gotten to the point where we're one of the laughing stocks of the NFL. Point blank. That's where we're at. It's time for the better days. It's time to go back to Giants football the way Giants football was. Control the line of scrimmage again. That's a big thing we haven't done. Our defensive line could not stop the run whatsoever for much of the season. Our offensive line was in shambles because of injuries. For whatever reason there, we got to figure that part of it out. We had horrible quarterback play. It is time to get back to old school Giants football. So we're going to talk about some things as far as what we're hoping for this offseason here with this episode. We're going to go ahead and talk about the draft and obviously what's going on there, because there were definitely some positional changes going on here. And we're going to talk whether that's good or bad, because there's got the potential to be bad as well, guys. And we're going to go over the game itself here. So while we're waiting for Rob, let's get started with the actual game itself, because that should be nice and quick and short and sweet here. So again, you got the Eagles win 20-13. Absolute pitiful performance by the Giants, because obviously we have a lot of injuries. We have a lot of backups in ourselves, but the Eagles literally put all their backups in, guys. They had their third quarterback in this game. We had the guy who was our backup, so technically our guy should have performed better. Drew Lock in the day, 22-29, 138 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Against a second-team defense. The same guy did 5 touchdowns last week against the Colts, who were trying to win to stay in the playoffs. And that's what he pulled out. Again, 22-29, not a bad percentage there. But they have 22 completions and get 138 yards. Guys, you've got to look downfield at some point. And that's with a massive catch, by the way, by Neighbors, too, who really padded those stats. Absolutely padded those stats. 64 yards he had on the day, Malik Neighbors. 5 catches, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. He set the record for most receptions by a New York Giant in a season. So we can't forget that part of it there. We got to give kudos to him, because that's anytime you break a record, for the Giants. Again, the team has been around 100 years now. This is the end of the 100th season. You did something right. Point blank, you did something right with that. I'm really excited to see what happens with Neighbors in the future. Again, give him a good quarterback. Hopefully keep him healthy for a year. This is a 14, 15, 100-yard plus guy all day long. This was a slam dunk pick. And again, we've given a lot of crap to Joe Shane, but this has been an awesome draft class by him. He deserves credit for that part of it there. We'll pat him on the back on the way out the door, hopefully, because we don't want to keep him any longer. But, great one by him. Tyrone Tracy Jr. led them in receiving, in the rushing yards. He had 14 carries, 59 yards. Decent day by him. And a lot of the times, to be honest, he didn't look like he was even healthy. Looked like he was getting banged up there. So had Singletary was in there with 7 carries, 22 yards. Dane Belton got a carry too on a fake punt that was successful. One carry for 10 yards. Besides Neighbors on the receiving end, Wan'Dale Robinson continues just being an absolute catch machine. He's got to be a great guy to have in a PPR league. 10 catches, 43 yards, guys. This is what I keep on saying why the issues are. You got to put Robinson an issue in a scenario where he's not getting hit the second he gets the ball. And that's the problem he keeps getting. He gets open, gets the catch, gets hit immediately, and people wonder why he drops the ball so often. Guy gets smacked around horrendously every single game. One 16-yard catch by Chris Manhurst, two for 9 on Bellinger, 2 for 7 on Tracy, 1 for 4 on Gray, and 1 for -5 on Singletary there. So, again, horrible offensive performance there by us there at that point. Now, on the Eagles side for their defense there at that point, for a second defense, they're going to give up 13 points to what was supposed to be our starters. Burks had 7 tackles, 9 assists. He was the big tackle guy in this game here. Jordan Davis had a couple big plays, had 3 tackles and 2 assists. Kelly Ringo, 3 tackles, 1 assist. He had a couple nice plays on special teams as well. Jeremiah Trotter, Jr., not the old cool guy. He's still retired. 2 tackles and 9 assists there. The offensive line did not give up a sack in the game. That's at least one bit of good news. Sidney Brown did get the 1 interception late that kind of sealed the victory there for the Eagles. On our defensive side of the ball, Deontay Johnson finally getting some action here on the game. 6 tackles and 4 assists. Drew Phillips had 4 tackles in the game as well. Darius Muasau, 3 tackles, 5 assists. Devon Wilson, 3 tackles and assists. Brian Burns, 2 and 3 assists. Now, we did get to the quarterback a couple times, though, but honestly, nothing that really mattered that much there. Kayvon Thibodeau got a sack and a half as he continues to just rack up sacks against meaningless competition and poor competition overall. That is his MO. Half a sack given, it looks like, to Brian Burns, which is interesting because I had heard that Elijah Garcia was going to get the half in the game, they said, but it looks like the other half a sack on the second sack went to Brian Burns instead, which, listen, I'll take that for him because the guy's been fighting his butt off during injury after injury at that point. Anything that's positive for him, I am all for, that's for sure. So, on the game here, like I said, it is what it is, guys. We wanted to lose. We point blank wanted to lose. And now we've lost. So, we got what we wanted. We get our pick. And let's get into the pick talk here because that's a big part of this. So, we went into this week here with the 4th overall pick. We had the Patriots, Titans, and Browns ahead of us. And now the Patriots won, guys. The Patriots beat the Bills. So they've now officially gone down in order. So now the only 3-team wins, there are 3-win teams, are the Browns who lost yesterday, the Titans who lost today, and us who lost today. That puts us in pick number 3, guys. Now, that is an option for us to move up, and that could be bad, good or bad. Here's the big thing. Do any of y'all think that the Browns and the Titans will not pick a quarterback? That's the big thing there. And you look at the Browns situation. The Browns have obviously Deshaun Watson as their quarterback, who's been underperforming, to put it nicely, with the Browns since he signed that massive deal. They have the option of drafting a guy, letting him sit behind Watson for a little bit, and then look to move on next year for Watson and start him next year. They have the Titans, who, again, Will Levis, so bad they benched him again today and put Mason Rudolph out there. So they need a quarterback. So you can look at this as potentially a bad thing if you're pro the Giants getting a quarterback at all costs. I know some of y'all are, some of y'all aren't. And I'm not the get a quarterback at all costs. I'm okay with get a quarterback at a reasonable cost. I'm in that field. But the Patriots were somebody we could have traded up with because the Patriots just got Drake May. I feel like we've lost that option now. And this could be a bad thing if you're pro get a quarterback at all costs, because we don't have that now. You got the option now. If you want to go ahead and get a quarterback, you're going to have to either hope that one of these two in the Browns or the Titans don't get it, or I'm going to throw this at you. You got to hope that Dion and Shador do something crazy and basically tell these teams point blank he wants to be a Giant. Because I do think that is the case. I really do. If you look at what's been going on lately, you got the Titans are just, never been a good franchise. Let's be honest here. They had a couple of good years when they first moved to Tennessee with, McNair and Eddie George. And you got the Browns. Who are the Browns? Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it because the Giants haven't been a great franchise lately either. But the Browns are one of the worst franchises in the entire NFL and have been for quite some time now. So the Giants, bad lately, but have a good history at the very least. You got something we can hang our hat on. And you got Shador Sanders during the Heisman presentation there. Beforehand was walking the streets of New York with Malik Neighbors. They were even spotted with video playing catch. You had last week at the Alamo Bowl, you had Shador Sanders with Giants cleats in his locker. In his locker. Like, he doesn't think people are going to be taking pictures. Of course he knows that. This is all part of the game. To me, all the signs are there that he wants to be a Giant. And if that's the case, guys, guess what? If he pulls an Eli and says, I'm not going to play for the Browns, I'm not going to play for the Titans, I could see a team like with the Titans or the Browns saying, you know what? We don't want a guy that doesn't want to be there. We're just going to figure it out. And we're going to move on from him, or we're going to trade down. Or trade his rights like we did with Eli. Because keep in mind, the Chargers actually drafted Eli Manning, not the Giants. That was a trade. Like I said, I fully anticipate there to be some drama with the Sanders camp this year. Now, whether that makes you want Sanders more or not, I don't know. You want a quarterback that wants to be here, that's for damn sure. You don't want a guy that's upset about getting drafted by us, like some of the rumors were about Neighbors when we first got him. But I think Neighbors does like being in New York. I think he's just frustrated with the team. But is also the potential of, do you really want somebody who causes so much issues he doesn't want to go to a team? I have no problem with that personally, but I can see how some people would have an issue with that. Because I'll tell you this, if let's say hypothetically that happens, there's a lot of hypothetical this, it's very early on. If hypothetically you would have a problem with Sanders saying to the Titans and the Browns, I don't want to play for you, I want to play for the Giants. If you have an issue with that, then you should have had an issue with Eli did it too as well 20 years ago. Because it's the same exact damn scenario. It's the same exact scenario. And the only difference is the player doing it. So if you have a problem with Sanders doing that, if he does go down that road, then I hope you can pull back stuff from 20 years ago of you saying Eli was a problem doing that as well. Because otherwise, there's just a lot of bias in that take, point blank. I'm going to say it like it is. And like I said, I'm not sitting here saying that he's the answer, Sanders. That's a whole separate topic. It's a whole separate thing we'll have to look at. And, I think we'll have that conversation at some point here, obviously. But we'll have to see how things progress. But at the very least, the Giants are in place for one of two things. Either one of the top two quarterbacks or Travis Hunter Will Johnson kind of guy who can go play corner, or like Hunter can play corner and receiver. You have those options. You also have the option of maybe the Patriots want to trade back up with the Giants, because the Patriots, by all accounts, were big on getting Travis Hunter. I kept hearing that over and over again. The Patriots want Travis Hunter. The Patriots want Travis Hunter. Well, they can still get him. They just might have to trade up to get him now. Maybe another team wants him real bad. If you're on team trade back, this could actually help the Giants and a lot, because if they go quarterback in this draft, like a lot of people expected, and you can still see potentially based on need of the two teams on there, the Browns and the Titans, that could be a highly coveted pick to go ahead and get, Travis Hunter for one of the teams that are in love with him. If the Giants aren't, maybe the Giants fall in love with him, depending on who we've been picking. We're going to have to figure that part of it out there. So let's get into that discussion then, because we have to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow is Black Monday. Black Monday is the day that a lot of the coaches get fired, that a lot of the coaches, get let go. The GMs get let go. We said it during the play-by-play. I said, either tonight or tomorrow morning, there's going to be big sit-downs within the Giants organization. And they probably know what they're going to do already. Let's be honest here. Like in most, you don't make your decision that same day. You have your decision probably made. But what's going to happen is there's going to be some big meetings with John Mara, and probably Steve Tisch will be involved, I think, to a certain degree as well. He usually kind of stays in the back of it, but this is a big thing right now for the Giants. There's going to be big talks with Joe Schoen, with Brian Daboll, Giants ownership, Giants front office, higher ups, saying, what do we do? And there's going to be meetings in there with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, specifically telling the Giants ownership group, here's what my plans are. Here's how I can fix this mess. Here's where and it's got to be an admission of where they went wrong. So here's where we went wrong. We should have done this when we did this. We've learned from this. And this is going to be a good thing in the long term for us. That's the discussions that have to be had, guys. And I don't see how there's a way to come out of this where if I was in that boat, I would sit there and say, we should keep Daboll and Schoen. Like, I am so anti-keeping these guys, it's not even funny. But we all know that John Mara has wanted to keep these guys. Has point blank said multiple times, I want to keep these guys. I'm tired of, having these guys, changed out the head coach and the GM so often. To me, though, you've given them 3 years. They had a great year that first year with a whole lot of luck, guys. Let's be honest. If you look at those games, a whole lot of luck. They've gone from 9 wins, 6 wins, now to 3 wins. At what point do we move on? At what point do we say enough is enough? This is going in the wrong direction. This has got to be that moment. And I don't think that the Giants will do it, to be very frank with you guys. I think we're going to wake up at the end of this, and Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll will still have jobs with the Giants. Regardless if it's announced tomorrow, days afterwards. But there's going to be a big press conference usually the day after. And that the Giants are going to want to make that call before that press conference. But I just, my gut tells me that Mara is so hell-bent on not being the guy to change out coaches every couple of years that one good year is enough for them to go, look, he did it once, he can do it again for Daboll. And then you look at this great draft we had this year, and they say, oh, wow, look, we can do it again. We did it this time. Look, we're building. We got it going. And again, great draft, guys. Great draft up and down. Neighbors, Newbin, Phillips, Tracy, Muasau. You tell me one guy, even, Theo Johnson, I almost forgot. There's not one guy upset with how they produced. This is the best draft class that Giants has had in years. But it doesn't excuse the embarrassment of the first 2 drafts that Joe Schoen had, the embarrassment of how we handled the Saquon Barkley scenario, the embarrassment of how we handled the Daniel Jones issues, and the embarrassment of ignoring obvious holes on this roster, not bringing in real competition for Daniel Jones, not bringing in guys at that point to be swing tackles because Andrew Thomas gets hurt every single year. It seems like that. We never did. We kept Josh Azuto as the backup tackle. Evan Neal as a backup tackle. Didn't bring anybody legitimate in that could actually go ahead and take care of this. Didn't fill up the obvious hole at the defensive line position. I wonder why we're giving up rushing yards left and right all year long. It's because this defensive line was not set from the very get-go to stop the run. It was horrendous. We called it out before the season even started. You were counting on guys that were 5th, 6th, 7th round picks to be starters that have never started. It'd be one thing if there was an injury and like, oh, look, DJ Davidson went as a starter for 6 games and really impressed us and blah, blah, blah. No, you were just counting and hoping on some of these young guys to come through. That's what you were doing. With no backups, no legit veterans, no guys that could actually come in and go ahead and do something legit if need be, if that plan failed. It was an embarrassment that you purposely gave the CB1 job to Deonte Banks with, again, no legit competition. No legit competition. And barely any kind of plan for CB2. You tried to hand the job to Cordell Flott, and he failed. You give it to Nick McLeod, you end up letting go because of a squabble over a couple $100,000, which another thing is another embarrassment right there. But Banks was bad all year long. And the writing was on the wall last year. He was not good against top competition. He was not good against CeeDee Lamb. He was not good against, Scary Terry when he played him last year. Banks was not ready, and you forced him to go into position. And as much as I don't think Banks is a great player, and I've said that from the get-go, I've been very consistent that I've been not high on Banks. We were upset we drafted him, both Rob and I. When it boils down to it, you put him in a bad scenario, and you hurt him mentally as far as his progression, his development, by forcing him into a position he wasn't ready for. They should have got a legit corner at that point, a legit starting corner. And you could have said, listen, we got 2 great corners. We're confident in both these guys. We'll figure it out which one CB1 is, CB2 as we go. And it may even change week to week. You could have saved a lot of face with that. But instead, you ignored CB2 basically, handed CB1 to a guy who wasn't even ready. These are all reasons Shane's got to go. Absolutely has to go. And he took that chance when Joe Shane was sitting there with John Mara, and John Mara said to him point blank, I'm going to lose sleep if Saquon goes to the Eagles. And then that's exactly what happens. Guess what? The egg is on Joe Shane's face. And it's time. It's time to make the move. And, whatever we did right scouting this year, so let's be very frank, we did do a lot right scouting. It's not just Joe Shane that does the draft. Joe Shane may be the guy who says point blank who we're drafting, but he's doing it based on the advice of the scouts. He's doing it based on what's been set up by the franchise overall. Figure out what we did right this draft so we can try to replicate this. But there's been too many mistakes by Shane to keep him. There's been too much embarrassments on this team between Dable and Shane. And both of them, this flat out got to go, guys. Flat out got to go. This was an embarrassing season, and I just listed for you all the embarrassments. I'm done being embarrassed. It's time for a new era Giants football, point blank. All right, guys. We're going to pay the bills real quick, and let's go ahead and get to some of the comments here then, all right?
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Alrighty, guys. And of course, if you want to support the show also, you can do super chats on YouTube. You can also go ahead and do stars on Facebook. And of course, as always, the free way. Hit the subscribe, hit the share, tell a friend. We say all the time, we are horrible at marketing. I admit that freely. We count on all you guys to go ahead and help us out with that there. And much appreciated for those who have. As we just hit the 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube this week here as well. And we've now gone ahead and added X Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, back onto one of our locations we're going to be streaming on. So those of you that are joining us here on that platform, I see 72 of y'all watching here on Twitter. I still call it that. I can't help myself. We're going to be live, like I said, starting for all our episodes again on that platform as well. Again, happy to have it back as an option. Just didn't want to pay the money to do it, but we're finally broke down and did it now that we've monetized on YouTube. There, we'll spend some of the money back into the like I said, into the show here in that regard. So, all right, let's get into your comments here real quick before we call it a day here for you guys. So, first comment by Dwayne: third pick and both teams ahead of us need quarterbacks. Of course, we're screwed. Typical Giants. Yep. All because we won that meaningless, stupid game against the Colts. We could have strolled right into the draft right now, otherwise, picked whatever quarterback we wanted, or if we decided we don't like either quarterback, going with trade down, whatever at that point. All the options were there to us. But we won a stupid, meaningless game that totally just destroyed our chances of doing some of the things we want to do potentially in this draft. Justin says, third pick now with New England winning, and the Giants were pettier than Philly today. Get rid of Shane and Dable. Damn straight, get rid of both of them. And he says, not sure Cam or Shador or franchise quarterbacks. I'm not either. I'm not sold in either one, to be very frank with you. I don't think they're horrible quarterbacks. I think they're both going to be guys with the potential to start in this league. My question is just, are either one of them good enough that you can build a franchise around and potentially win a ring with here? As Rob is in the building there, though we don't have video on him yet there, so we'll have him here shortly joining us. There he is. There he is.
Speaking of the devil.
You're the devil? I don't think your mic's on, by the way, dude. It sounds like you're coming through your webcam.
Oh, snap.
So, yes, give me a thumbs up when you're ready for that there. Let's see here. Let's get back to the comments here. As Dwayne says, how did last week happen? That's a very good question. It's again a fluke. It's the broken clock is right, twice kind of scenario. That's what I feel like last week was, as we lost Rob again here temporarily. Dwayne says, I will stand on that being the worst win in franchise history. It's worse than the DeVito run of 2023. Oh, hell yeah, it is. I mean, guys, that DeVito run was like not nearly as late in the season as it was there. And we still might not have gotten the first overall pick if that happened. Like that's where we're at. This literally cost us the first overall. That's what it cost us. I don't know what that other, what the wins with would have cost us with, the Packers game specifically is the big one that people talk about with DeVito. I don't know what that change would have done, but I don't think we would have gotten the first overall pick. Would have been nice. I would have loved the first overall pick. I feel like I would have preferred the second overall pick, though, because I feel like the Giants would have taken Caleb Williams first overall, and we were both very high on getting Jaden Daniels. We didn't want to have, Caleb Williams here in New York. It would have been a bad pick, and I think based on what you're seeing so far, we were right on that one. Time will tell. There's still a rookie season, but so far we were right on that one. That's for sure. But keep the comments going, guys, because as I said, we want to give you guys all a chance to go ahead and talk about what's going on, your thoughts on where we ended up on the season. Cruz at 26. The third pick is great. We get the number one non-quarterback if we get the number one non-quarterback if Titans and Browns go QB. We do, or we trade down. Like I said, honestly, guys, trading down to me is a huge, nice option for us in this whole scenario. Like, that's not a loss. That's not a bad thing for us at all. We got a chance here to go ahead and get a whole bunch of picks. If we don't like, Travis Hunter enough, take him with the third overall pick. Like I said, I'm not so sure on my thoughts 100% on Hunter yet. I still have to do a deep dive in him. But like I said, I'm always wary of people that don't fit exact spots. And what I mean by that is, like, let's use Isaiah Simmons as a classic example. And I'm not saying this is what's going to happen to get to Hunter again. I got to do my deep dive before I give you guys a full opinion on him. Isaiah Simmons, when he came out of college, coming out of Clemson, was this guy who wasn't quite a safety, wasn't quite a linebacker, but people just knew he was a football player. He's a football player. He fits all these things. He's going to be great. You look at what's going on with Hunter. Is he a receiver? Is he a corner? I don't know. Now, the difference between Simmons and Hunter is obviously Simmons didn't play two positions where Hunter did. But my question is he a good enough receiver that you would take him as a 3rd overall pick as a receiver? Is he a good enough corner that you would take him 3rd overall as a corner? If the answer is no to either one of them, is he a 3rd overall pick? I'm not so sure on that. I'm really not. I feel like that this is a guy that I get it. A lot of people are looking at him like, okay, he fits 2 holes. And if he does, great. Don't get me wrong. If he can replace Darius Slayton next year as a wide receiver on the outside there for us, great. If he can replace Deonte Banks and be our number 1 corner, great. But if you think he can replace both spots, that's not likely. That's not the way football typically works. Now, is it impossible? Of course not. Of course not. But what's the likeliness that he's that good at both positions? And I don't know what I'm getting with him at that point then. Am I getting a great wide receiver? Am I getting a great corner? Or am I getting a guy that's just a corner and a wide receiver? That's the problem we run into. I want a guy that excels enough that I feel confident enough that he's going to be a top corner or a top player in this league. And honestly, from what I've seen of Will Johnson, that I would take him as at the corner position, number 3 overall over Travis Hunter. And I would go ahead and trade down if I had to. Get some extra picks, move down a couple of spots, and get Johnson, perhaps there. Again, depending on how everything flies there. New England, I know, wants Travis Hunter real bad from what I heard. Now, they're going to be picking 4. We're going to be picking 3. Again, trade down with New England, get a couple of picks or get another pick or whatever. Still get Will Johnson, let them take Travis Hunter. I would do that kind of move in a heartbeat, guys. It seems like a legitimate thing to do. So, Dwayne says, we need a QB1. As we need a QB, I refuse to root for someone like Kirk Cousins next year. Yeah, well, again, you got to see where everything lies. 3rd overall pick, obviously, there's no guarantee we get one of these top quarterbacks. I think the guy that we'll do more, obviously, as we go. But I think the big thing is, the option of getting a guy who could be potentially a long-term answer is now much more of a key thing. Like, I would love to go ahead and get a guy like, a guy like Justin Fields. He's still young enough. He's still a guy that, you look at and you go, he played for the Bears. Like, who's really succeeded with the Bears? He had some moments with the Bears as well. He's kind of like their version of Daniel Jones, but they just moved on quicker. But I would take him in a heartbeat as a bridge quarterback with the option, not the definite, but the option of keeping him long term. Like a 4-year deal with an out after 2 years with not a lot of money. I would take that in a heartbeat. And he's a guy that I think is going to be looking for a chance to start somewhere next year. And I think we can provide that chance. And I think that's going to intrigue him. We could sit there and tell him point blank, because even if let's say hypothetically we get Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, I don't want to start them right off the bat anyway. I really don't. I would rather them sit for half a year, 3/4 a year, a full year, whatever. Learn. Get them ready for next year. Or 2 years now, I should say, not next year. Next year will be that year. Justin Fields might be attracted to that. And he's a guy, again, could be a long-term answer as well. I don't think he is, but he could be. He's got that potential. Whereas a guy like Kirk Cousins, let's be honest, is a 1-year stopgap. That's all he is. So I'm with you. I don't want to root for Kirk Cousins. I'd rather root for Justin Fields. Cruzen says, I want Cam, but oh well, get Fields. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Fields an option. But again, Cam is still an option. There's no need to give up on the Cam thing. It's just you might have to trade up to get him now. But luckily, by the Patriots winning, you'd have to trade up a little less. Potentially, if one of these two teams does not want a quarterback. Like I said, I do think the Sanders drama is going to happen. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right on that. Cruzen says, get Hunter, number 1 CB, and number 2 wide receiver to go with Neighbors. Like I said, I get the allure of him. I really do. I just don't know if he's that good at those positions to do that. And part of my concern is the competition he played over in Colorado. They didn't exactly play great, teams at that point. Can you really sit there and say that they played top talent? They lost bad to BYU, went Oklahoma State, Kansas, Utah, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Arizona, lost to Kansas State, UCF, Baylor, Colorado State, Nebraska, they lost to, North Dakota State. I mean, these aren't great teams, guys. That's part of the issue with evaluating Colorado. And we talked about that last year with Drake May when we tried to evaluate him at the quarterback position. And I said, it's hard to evaluate him because you play such bad competition. And that it's kind of a similar thing with Colorado. You have to take some of that into consideration. Whereas, again, not to say that he's 100% better, but in my opinion, right now he is. Look at a guy like Will Johnson. You look at the teams that Michigan faces on a week in, week out basis, guys. There's much better competition that he has at that point. Alabama, Ohio State, Northwestern, Indiana, Oregon. Look at these guys that are facing. He's been put through the ringer a lot more against a lot better competition. That's why I like him right now. I trust what I see. The eye test is more trusting at that point, where it's almost like you're watching through drunk glasses a little bit with Hunter because of the competition they play. And again, you could say the same thing with Shedeur Sanders. You have to. They both play the same teams that are mediocre. T. Brad says QB or Hunter, so not bad. Cruising, Titans and Browns need a quarterback. Yes, they do. Deb, it's early. Could see other QBs move up in the draft. You could, but I don't think you're to see them move up to where you would consider another quarterback at pick 3. I think the one quarterback that you hear more and more buzz on is Dart. Maybe he moves up to be a second-round pick. Maybe somehow he sneaks into the first round. Maybe Jalen Milroe. So a team falls in love with him. Maybe he sneaks up in the first round. I hope it's not the Giants. I'm not a fan of him personally. But that's a possibility as well. You could see potentially 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round if some of these guys start moving up. It depends on how many teams also decide they have to have a quarterback this year. Sometimes teams get needy. They get a little greedy and they get needy. Look what happened last year. Penix, Nix, JJ McCarthy all went earlier than I thought they should have. I thought JJ was a second-round talent. I thought Bo Nix was a second-round talent. I thought Penix was a mid to late round first-round talent, but he went up so quickly. So again, you never know. You just never do. Tavio or Tavio, I'm sorry. Let me know how to pronounce your name so I got it right for you, man. I'm assuming Tavio. Unfortunately, he says, Nacho Libre, take Travis Hunter and take Milroe or the kid from Ole Miss in the second round. If I'm taking a second-round quarterback, I'm definitely not taking Milroe, though. Like I said, I'm not big on him. So I watched Alabama receivers in the Reliant Quest Bowl in Tampa literally go ahead and give him looks after he threw the ball. And last year we talked about it with the when we talked about receivers from Alabama. We said literally we can't trust what we're seeing because they're got a quarterback that's just not that good. Especially we said that with Jermaine Burton, who ended up going to the Bengals. Now, he didn't do much. So I can't sit there and say that he was a stud when he got away from Milroe. But I can't last year in good conscience tell y'all that some of these receivers were that bad. Weren't that bad, but because they had bad quarterback play. And then the next year turn around and tell y'all that the quarterback is the guy we should go get. Like that would be like ridiculous for us to get those kind of statements at that point. But he also, again, didn't do anything to prove otherwise there for me. Could he potentially be a okay quarterback in this league? He's got the potential, but he's got to sit for a year or two. He's got to have to learn a lot of the throwing parts there. And I'm okay with the running part, like as long as he also understands your main job is to sit in the pocket and to throw the ball. Again, I said it before. You look at the guys, the Michael Vicks, the Randall Cunninghams, the Lamar Jacksons of the football world. They're fun to watch, guys, and they're great quarterbacks. So let's be very frank. We would take any of those 3 over any of the quarterbacks we have on our roster right now. Legal issues aside for Michael Vick for a second. We would take any of those three in a heartbeat on our roster. But you know what they all have in common? No rings. I've said it before, guys, and I'll say it again. We are the goddamn New York Giants. It is not good enough for us just to get into the playoffs. It's not. And I get, granted, it'd be a damn step up right now from where we're at. But our thing right now is to get Super Bowls. That's our goal, as it should be our goal every single year. We're the Giants. We're not the Browns. We're not the Jets. We've been playing like them lately, but we're not them. So it's time to start looking at building a championship team. Deb says so many Heisman winners don't live up to the hype. No, they don't. No, they don't. Some of them, like Charlie Ward, play basketball for the Knicks instead. Clinton Jones, nice to meet you, Joe. Nice to meet you, man, as well. Leo says, what if they sign Darnold? Like I said, Darnold's an interesting option. He really is. And I put him in the same boat as I put Fields a minute ago. And not that he's, like I said, if I had a choice, I'd take Darnold over Fields because of everything Darnold did this year. My concern is I don't know how much of Darnold's this year, Darnold's 2024 is Darnold, and how much of it is the offense of the Vikings, the weapons around him. Did he figure it out in his couple of years off between having this year now with the Vikings and this year with the last year with the 49ers? Did he figure out how to quarterback? Or is he just in a perfect scenario for him? Look how good Cousins looked for years. Granted, didn't win any big games, but look how good he looked. And he went to the Falcons and lost his job midway through the season. Granted, coming off a major injury, a couple of years older than he was with the Vikings because he really didn't play last year. So that's part of the equation for him as well. I'm just saying, I don't know if what I see with Darnold is legit or if it's fool's gold. Now, I do know he's better than any quarterback we have in this roster. Bar none. No question about it. But I don't know if he's this Darnold that he is now with the Vikings if he goes on to the Giants. I don't. And that's the scary part of it there. So if you can get me Sam Darnold and give me a contract where I can get out of it in a couple of years, then yeah, why not? Let's go. He's still young enough. And Sam Darnold this year, guys, is better than Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Point blank. Sam Darnold this year is better than Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Is he really Sam Darnold this year, though? That's the question. And we'll know that answer next year. We'll have a better idea, at least, at the very least. But honestly, I think it's going to be a point either way, though, because I think what they're going to do is I think the Vikings are going to go ahead and they're going to go ahead and just get rid of they're going to keep Sam Darnold and put him on the tag and make it player of the year. So, I don't think it's going to happen either way. But like I said, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. Like I said, I'd actually be kind of happy to be wrong in this case here. I think more and more as things go, I'm actually okay with getting Darnold as the quarterback. And then you got the third overall pick. Trade down, get a whole bunch of picks, build his team up at that point. Because now you don't have to force a quarterback pick. And worst comes to worst, if he sucks next year, then the year after that, you go to get guys at a quarterback when, from everything you're hearing, it's a lot better of a quarterback draft. You're not forcing the pick, but you're also not giving up on the position by making a move like that. Could do a whole lot worse, that's for sure. I never thought I'd say that with Sam Darnold. Dax says, I still think the Giants should keep Brian Daboll and Shane. Like I said, you're good. We can have different opinions. I want nothing to do with them. I'm done. Justin says, stay away from Milrow. Yep, I'm 100% there with you. And he says, unless he wears 27, is the next Brandon Jacobs. Yeah, I don't think he's going to do that. That's for sure. Dax says that the Giants still need offensive line and defensive line help. Yes, they do. And like I said, if you look at the last mock draft we did, we had the offensive line and defensive tackle positions specifically at a premium for us. We took 2 guards and 2 defensive tackles with the first 4 picks. We took a mid to late round tackle as well for the offensive side. Like I said, we're there with you 100%. And if we go that route, hypothetically, and we go ahead and get a guy like a veteran like Fields or Darnold, and don't have the option to get Sanders or Ward, then like I said, you need a CB1. I'm very big on that. But yeah, after that, start building up that line. Do a mix of free agency, do a mix of the draft, and go build up the offensive, defensive lines. You win by controlling the line of scrimmage, guys. It's not rocket science. It's really not. I don't understand why it's being treated like such. You want to win? Get yourself a good quarterback and control the line of scrimmage, and you'll probably win. Now, your extent of how far you'll win will probably be, partially decided at the very least by who your coach is, which is why I want Dable gone. I don't have any faith in him. I think that was a fluke 22. I really do. And if we keep him, I'll still root for him. If we keep Shane, I'll still root for him. I'll still root that I'm wrong. I'll put my own, my own opinions aside for rooting for the team because I am a Giants fan first and foremost. But I can't sit there and say that that's the right decision right now to keep them. So we'll be back again though for you guys tomorrow night there, as Rob's unfortunately having some technical issues there. He was trying to get on there and having some technical issues. We'll be back again though tomorrow night. Actually, give me one second. We do have one more comment with Justin. He says, if a quarterback is a must for Mara, then Shane Dable can't be there because you're committing to them for 3 years. I'll go a step further with you. If a QB is a must for Mara, then Shane can't be there either because you're still doing the same thing. You're committing to Shane for a couple of years. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. If you're a must for Mara, then Shane Dable can't be here because you're committing to them for 3 years. Yes. Both of them have to go. And I'll tell you this, anybody who thinks that QB is a must has to go. Not that you can fire Mara, he's the owner. You can't force a pick, guys. You can't. If you want to get a quarterback that bad, that you're going to be willing to give up whatever it takes to move up, hypothetically, if you have to, then you're not the right person for the job. Now, if you're going to say, okay, we're going to get a veteran quarterback, a Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, whatever, then, then go for it. And then go draft somebody. Go figure it out like that way. Go ahead and mix and match and do things and rebuild that quarterback room. Or if you don't like anybody in the draft, then get a couple of veterans at that point. You want. You can't get Darnold hypothetically, then get a couple of guys. Say, listen, we're going to give you guys each the chance to compete to be the starting quarterback. And I have to look at the list of free agents to see exactly who I pick off the top of my head there. But, you can go ahead and bring in Justin Fields, Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo, and say, listen, we're going to bring the three of you guys in. Best guy wins the job. Point blank. Or Russell Wilson if it's not Fields. Best guy wins the job. You'll get a year to start. We'll figure out what we do from there. There's worse plans than that, guys. And don't get me wrong, you're not going to win a ring that way. But if you think we're winning a ring next year with this team, you are definitely smoking something. That's for damn sure. Matto says keep Drew Lock. He's good. If you want to keep him as a backup, maybe, but not as a starter. That's for damn sure. As Rob is back, you back, Rob? You good?
I guess so, man.
There you go.
I had some camera issues.
There you go. There you are. You are there. You sound wise, voice wise, face wise.
Finally, after being in the back room for 25 minutes, my camera has working after resetting 3 times.
See, and Deb says Matto is on drugs because he said that we should keep Drew Lock. Well, maybe he is. I don't know. I'm not going to judge. It's the end of the season. We're celebrating. We're celebrating the year. So, Rob, since you're coming in late here, any thoughts, anything you want to share as far as the game, the fact that the Giants now get the 3rd pick since the Patriots won and kind of lost by winning, go for it.
They pulled on us last week, this week. Yeah, I mean, we're playing the Eagle secondary. At the end of the day, this is the recap. We played the Eagle secondary, and we could not beat the Eagle second string team. I shouldn't say secondary, the second string team. And you want to keep Drew Lock because why? He kind of looked okay today. He looked really good against the Colts that did not look good at all last week. It makes no sense to me because he's looked horrible, especially in preseason when everyone wanted to cut him right then and there. What I did see out of the Giants is some of the second string, third string guys stepping up, making some plays. They kept us close. We didn't get blown out, which let's face it, like we thought we would.
Yeah.
So it was reassuring to see that our second and third string teams could beat their second string.
I mean, I think you saw some people that showed you they have something, and I think we've seen that all year long, to be honest. There's nothing that I saw in this game specifically that was like, oh, here's some guy who's showing me something. Because I already saw that with guys like Darius Musa I've seen all year long. Again, I don't think he could be a great player in this league, but he's shown he could be a potential depth piece. You know, Elijah Chapman, same thing at that point. If anything, I think the Giants missed a huge opportunity in this game by not going ahead and putting in guys that we didn't know anything about. You know,
I agree.
Miller was put on the active roster and activated him for the game. Jalen Hyatt didn't get a ton of snaps in the game. You know,
he had the reception.
I would love to see him. Yeah,
like
it's an issue.
It is an issue. Like that, you should have thrown him the ball a lot more. Like, let's face it, guys. At the end of the day, at the end of the season, that we know we're not doing anything in, you should have thrown Hyatt the ball, because like Hyatt is the guy we were all excited to get in the third round.
Yeah,
and
but we were okay.
Well, we were, because there was prospects. There was prospects of him going in the first round, second round. To get him in the third round, to say we weren't like happy to get him in the third round is a little silly.
No, we were happy. Yeah, I don't want to go too superlative, because you and I both weren't that high in him necessarily. We thought if he had gone first, second round like they talked about, that would have been a reach, because we said he was a one-trick pony that needed time and needed to develop as a receiver.
100%. So you should have thrown him out there. You
like
should
right.
like, yeah, 100%. You should have put him out there. You'd be like, hey, maybe try to take a slant a little bit. But no, you didn't see that at all. Like, what I took away from the game is actually what Tiki was talking about, was when he interviewed Dable at the beginning of the game, before the game, and they were talking about, hey, you haven't really thrown to the tight ends that much this year like you have done in the past. Why is that? We want to give the ball to Malik.
Yeah.
And it shows. So kudos to Malik. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Congrats to him on the records, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I look at that game, though, and that game is exactly why Brian Dable should be fired. Because you had a chance here, like we just said, a chance that was blown to show some young players, put them in the game, show what they can do. And instead of doing that, the Giants were fighting for the win, just so that Dable and Shea can go to John Mara and say, look, we won the last 2 games. We're doing better. We're getting there. There's progress.
You know what? Mara and Trish, they've both been in this game a long time. Long time. You know what it might have been better is taking the taking the L like they already did today with your prospects. Be like, look what these guys did. This is this is what we brought to the table, and look what they did in their first experience in the NFL.
Yep.
That would have went way, like, that's what would have took way much more water than
could have hung your hat on the prospects of what this team could be with some time.
Yeah.
You send the young players you have and say, look, we have guys here that showed they can do something today that haven't been playing all year that we can build towards next year with.
100%. Like,
Tracy, to me, is the biggest one. And you all know, watch this show on a regular basis. We are very big on Tyrone Tracy. But I was excited when he was activated for the active roster here. And I was like, okay, good. We're going to see him in the last week. The Giants are doing the smart thing. They're going to play guys who they haven't played and give them a chance to show what they can do, so you have an idea of what they are for next year. But they didn't even activate him for the game.
No.
But let's activate Eric Gray. That's what we need to see. More Eric Gray.
The mistake that was admitted.
Oh my God. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that he's even
realize
conversation.
For hours, I was sitting there at the TV like, it's not turbo time. Not turbo time. Not turbo time.
Absolutely ridiculous, guys. So again, this is the exact reason why they got to go. It's stuff like this. Got to go. So
big time.
All righty. Any other thoughts you got, Rob?
I mean,
besides the fact that you want the fishes because they're so delicious, gonna go fishing.
Gotta go fishing.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Got another comment here from Tommy Ribs. Says not sure if Shedeur Sanders is worth third pick in the draft. Cam Ward is, but we won't get Cam. Not sure where this team goes at this point. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I still think Shedeur Sanders is going to pull it. I don't want to play for Cleveland. I don't want to play for Tennessee, and he's going to come to the Giants. Just my gut feeling tells me that. We'll see how it goes down, but my gut feeling.
I mean, we've been talking about that like even prior. It's like this feels like an Archie situation. Like
hey. It's going to be because, like Dion said, point blank, I don't want him going to certain places. Like, let me just put it this way: if you had a kid that is going to be going to the NFL as a top flight draft pick, would you want that kid going to the Browns? Like, if you said point blank, I don't want him going to certain franchises, don't you think the Browns would be on that list?
100%. Like, well, listen, if you can turn around the Browns, you're the dude, the guy, right? He knows what his son is. Like, Dion has pride. Let's face it. Like, he has an ego, not even pride. He has a huge ego. We could also say cocky, if you will.
Yes.
But he also backs it on the field in his heyday. He was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't. And he would never let me put this as well. Dion may be outspoken because we talked about the different type of Hollywoods in the live by play-by-play. Dion loves the spotlight. Dion loves to talk to the media. Dion did not cause issues, though.
No. He was very braggy. He was very cocky. What he did. Look what I did. But you know what? You're in the NFL. You're the best. You can say shit. That's fine. That's okay. You can talk. You can talk whatever. He's prideful in everything he does. We know that. So when your son, who is the most prideful thing he's probably done, besides his records, is not going to be as good in the NFL as he is going to promote the crap out of him to go to the best place where he could get the best opportunity to be the best. Like if Deion Sanders went to a terrible team, he would turn the team around. If his son goes to a terrible team, I don't think Deion has the faith that he has in himself to turn that team around. So let's go to a team in a market that'll make you a lot of money and the ability to look like a stud better than you can.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Cleveland, like Tennessee Titans, number one, I'm going to put them over the Browns. Tennessee Titans, dud team. Dud. Probably like the most
That's the part of
rebuilding.
If you're Dion, would you want your kid going to the Tennessee Titans?
What kind of market is that?
It's a small market. It's a team that got rid of Mike Vrabel when the team was winning with Mike Vrabel. And they've had issues in the front office as far as power and stuff like that. I'm telling you right now, let's say hypothetically, and I don't know what behind the scenes conversations happen. Obviously, I don't pretend to know these things. But let's say, for example, if you're the Giants, would you not be reaching out to Dion and having conversations with him in a way that wouldn't get trouble at that point? I mean, you can have topics, you can have conversations, and word things appropriately to not get in trouble.
And
you
let's also face it too.
Point blank,
Sanders.
What do you think of this coach? And then see what they think. And maybe you bring in a guy that you think is a good fit for them, that they also agree is a good fit for them, and set the stage for that to happen.
Yeah, and let's face it, it's Deion Sanders. Like, he doesn't have to be the most professional. Because people are going to be like, that's Deion. But I hear what you're saying. But he has the ability to go to these teams because 32 teams, 32 owners, all respect what this guy's done for this league. Because what he has done also helps president the value of this organization as a whole. And they're going to take a market and listen to that because, like, he brings value.
But it's also, like I said, it's just a matter of if you're setting a perfect scenario for Shedeur Sanders, you have a better chance to get him. But you also can have that conversation just to show your interest like that and not even do whatever they want. You can still do what you want. But you're sitting at that table just kind of saying, like, hey, we're willing to do what we can to make this an attractive place for you. Like I said, don't tell me talks weren't happening behind the scenes like that with the Manning family and the Giants 20 years ago.
Oh, 100%.
So again, I've said it on the play-by-play. I'll say it on here as well. If you have an issue with Shedeur Sanders potentially doing this, then you better be talking trash about Eli too. And if not, you're just a goddamn hypocrite. Point blank.
100%.
One last comment here from A-Train. If the QB from Penn State declares, would you get him? We haven't really done much work on him, to be honest, because he declared pretty early that he was staying. So we'll see. I've heard as a couple of days ago that there's still a little talks about will he, won't he? But he's already said he's going to stay. So unless he changes his mind officially, we're not going to really work on Drew as a potential option there, because I think he's the guy that would get drafted early on, probably like the second round or so. But if he's staying, it's a mute point.
Hey, real quick, live draft, real fast. What was the top 5 positions last year in the draft?
Quarterback.
Oh, no, I'm saying
wide receiver.
But I'm also saying like what were the picks? Like who had them?
I don't get what you're getting at. I feel like you're trying to set me up for something, but I don't understand the
question.
No,
nothing bad.
No. I'm not saying bad, but I'm saying I feel like you're looking for a response to prove a point, but I don't know the question.
No. I was going back because like we just talked about the QB from Penn State declares that he would not go into this draft. Shedeur Sanders also did the same thing right before draft time, that he's staying in school when he could have been drafted last year.
Yeah,
he was a top 10 prospect.
I was the top 10 prospect. He was going to go in the second round, Shedeur Sanders, if he went out last year.
No. I meant as his position. Like not.
Oh yeah. That part. Yeah, the top 10 quarterback in the 2023 draft.
Not top 10 overall.
Draft, how do you declare? And like I said, he may have slipped in the first round considering everything else went. I mean, he was right there after Bo Nix, probably.
There's a lot of people put him before Bo.
Yeah, so he probably would have gone mid to late.
Some people put him before Penix, which I thought was silly.
Yeah, no, I would take Penix in a heartbeat over him.
Well, we would also took Penix probably number 2 overall. Probably number 1.
No, I would not have taken him 2 overall. I would take him 2 because I would have taken Jay and Daniels here still.
Oh, I'm saying quarterback
Penix did lose though today against the Panthers, and that lost him any chance to get the NFC South, but it's what it is.
Well, he also was the quarterback all year.
He was not. He never threw 4 picks in the game. Just saying.
Yeah, he also played his heart out today. So
he did.
He looked good. They lost in overtime.
Let's see real quick. What's the box score of what he did? Because I guarantee you the Giants would have taken this kind of.
100%. He was like, I think it was like 319,
21 of 38, 21 of 38, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, one interception. And then what he do rushing wise?
He got a touchdown.
And a touchdown. Yeah. So 3 touchdown performance today. I can't say he was a problem. I think the 44 yards given up by the defense was probably more the problem.
Yeah. That was a 3-yard run for a touchdown, by the way. No one was open. Oh, they marked it 5?
That's what it says. It's 5 yards in the there at least.
I was watching live.
The box score says. Yeah, stuff changes. We talked about it too, where they gave Elijah Garcia the half a sack originally. And the second sack the Giants have, it actually went to Brian Burns according to the box score. So, all right, guys. So that's gonna call it a day for us here. So tomorrow could be a very big episode here as we find out more of what's going to happen with Brian Dable and Joe Shane. Hopefully tomorrow, because I think that'll probably be somewhat involved. So. We'll talk about that. Well, we're going to go ahead and talk about that kind of stuff there, give you any last news the rest of the Giants regular season. Keep in mind, guys, the season is ending for the New York Giants. The season never ends for the 2 Giant Goofballs.
Nope.
We continue to go year round. We'll still do 3 episodes a day for you guys. So we'll still be on every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, we will also do special episodes when things happen as well. We did that last year as well during the free agency, for example. We did live episodes in the first 3 or 4 days in a row because we just had that many things to go over. They kept on happening. So we just keep going. When news happens, we'll be here. Point blank, whether it's a regular day for episode or not. So, so from there, we'll go ahead and give you guys all the latest news there. We'll also start our review of the season here soon as well. So we'll Might even start that tomorrow, depending on what kind of news we do or don't have. So going over giving report cards to all the players for how they did this season. Fair warning, a lot of red pens will probably be out for that one there.
Oh, yeah.
We'll also be going over with you guys, obviously, like I said, our targets, potential options for free agency, who we should sign or not re-sign. We'll go over from there. Once the free agency itself is over, we'll go into draft coverage nonstop. We did hundreds and hundreds of draft profiles last year, guys. We will continue to do the same thing as well. So, again, guys, if you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, because I know there's a lot of guys that kind of start shutting down for some reason their content creation when the season is over. They go down like once a week or so. We do not do that. We will always give you every single week 3 episodes. We've had to pre-record. We've had to change our schedules around. We've had to do all kinds of crazy stuff. But we will always give you 3 episodes a week no matter what. So we'll see you guys again hopefully tomorrow night as we go over hopefully good news of the exit strategies. But we'll find out there on that. As always, guys, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and no, hold on. We weren't even going there yet.
Oh,
and now we are back with a vengeance on X/Twitter. So, guys, if you are new to the program on that, there we used to do live shows on there. We didn't want to give Elon his blood money, but we've decided to go ahead and do that now that we are monetized fully on YouTube. So we'll be on there. I see literally we got 79 right now watching now on Twitter. So, guys, if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe, please. Appreciate it. Like I said, we'll be on like
really
I said, a couple times a week for you guys there. And of course, as always, we are also live on Rob's favorite. And of course, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms. That is Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there. If you haven't already, hit the like, subscribe there as well. Hit it everywhere you can. There is no limitations in how many platforms you hit the like and subscribe on, guys. Absolutely none.
Bell, ring it.
Exactly. Ring the bell, okay? Now I got that old song in my head. Ring my bell. Oh, my God. Aging myself here. Yeah, that I was alive for that one, but I feel like people that are 20 probably have no clue what song that is. All right, guys. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Appreciate you guys watching, as always. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man!
Go G-Man! Go next year! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.